Okay, a quick tutorial on how to get our notes into OneNote. We're going to click on Unit 1 and we see this Unit 1 vocab notes part 1 and 2. Click that. We're going to view the attachment. We're going to open that attachment. And then, oops, up here is your Share button. So click that and you'll see this. That's where we want to transfer it to OneNote. You might have to scroll to find it. This says Algebra 1 or Algebra 2. I don't want it there, so I'm going to click it and I'm going to put it into one of my geometry classes. From there, you can see down here that my PDF document is attached. So I can just hit send up here. Now it went to my OneNote, which is down here, or wherever it happens to be. Go into your geometry class that you put it in, and you'll notice this Unit 1 vocab, Unit 1 vocab. Click on that, and then you're going to want to hit print out, and it's going to give us everything we need to know. Now this, you can make the screen bigger, you can make it smaller, however you want to make it. We're going to go through just a few of these points in the first video so it doesn't get too long, and then we'll do the rest of the notes in the next video. So the first thing we're going to talk about first, you want to pick your color, hit that button down, and you want to make it as small as you can so you can fit in as much writing in there. A point. It's an exact location in space. One thing that we always have to remember with a lot of what we're going to talk about here is there are an infinite amount of points. And we denote that with the infinite symbol. So there are an infinite number of points, or an infinite amount of points in space. Example, how would we write that? Just a little dot, and in a capital letter, we have point A. How do we note it? A capital A, again, that says that we're working with a point. And what would we say? Point A. All right. Next, we have a line. A line is a collection of points that go on and on in both directions. There are no endpoints. It keeps going forever, on and on and on. So what's an example of what it's going to look like? You're going to have points, create your line here, but on the end, it's going to show us that it goes on forever with these two arrows. Label our points B and C, and that is a line. How do we write that when we're talking about a line? We're going to write line BC, and we're going to put the line with the arrows above it on top. And we're also going to say this is line M. That's a small m. Or we can just say line M. Remember, small m. For points, capital letters. All right, so if you write a smaller case letter, I'm going to think that you're talking about a line. If you write in uppercase, I'm going to know that you're talking about a point. So as far as the line goes, how are we going to speak that? All we're going to do is say line M, or we can say line B, C in our capital letters. I'm going to use my highlighter here. Note the small m and the capital letters, depending on how we write it. Okay, moving on, a couple more. A line segment is going to be a part of a line. And don't worry, we'll go over all of this in class if it's not making sense. A line segment has two endpoints. All right, so how do we write that, or what does that look like? I'm going to use some new letters. Remember, these are points, so we're going to use capital letters D and E. Notice I don't have the arrows like I did there. I don't have those for a line segment. So how do we write that? With capital letters, since we're dealing with points, we just do a straight line above, no arrows. And how do we say it? We say line segment D, E. And that's it. Array, that's part of a line. It does have one endpoint. And it continues on in the other direction. So it'll stop on one side and it'll keep going on and on for the other side. That will look like this. We've got point F to point G. However, this side is going to keep going. It could go in the other direction. But it will go on one side with a definitive endpoint. Okay. So what does that look like when we write it? Let's see if you can guess. We've got our points, F, G. And just like we had up here with the line segment and the line up here, this shows that it's a ray. It goes in the direction of G. So that's the way that we want the arrow to point. And all we say is ray F, G. I'm going to go off to the side here because I think that it's really important to note when we're dealing with points, they're going to be capital letters. Lines are lowercase. You will get docked points if you do not label them correctly because I won't know what you are actually talking about. One more for this video and then I will create part 2. The last thing we're going to talk about is a plane. This is an endless two-dimensional space, and I'll explain that in 1 second. An endless two-dimensional space. So the way that you can think about that is a piece of paper. A piece of paper is a plane. The floor, the ceiling, the wall. Those are all endpoint, or those are all planes, I'm sorry. So that we can kind of denote them looking like that. Or they're gonna look like that. Just think about a piece of paper, okay? And we can have points on that line. So let's have point H, point J, point I. But down here in the corner, I'm gonna have a capital P. So it's plane P, okay? So we can define this by using 3 points. By just simply going H, it doesn't look like an H, H, I, J, or we can define it by the plane, which is P. Again, capital. How do we say it? Just like the other ones. Plane P or plane, oh my gosh. Yep, there we go. Plane H, I, J. All right, so kind of think about those for a while. They're all, like I said, we're not going to be talking about numbers for a little bit. We're just going to be talking about some vocab. So let that kind of sink in, and video 2 will follow.